Richard Kasperowski. Uh, Richard is an author, speaker, and coach focused on team building and high-performance teams. He created and teaches the course Agile Software Development at Harvard University and co-teaches the Spark Innovation Fellowship at Boston University. Today, he will be talking to us about the Team Transformation Canvas. Richard, stage is yours. Have fun.
Hey, thanks very much. So nice to be here. It's great to be back at the Craft Conference, where I'm based in Boston, and I'm drinking a coffee out of my official Craft Conference mug from my last, one of my last trips to the conference in Budapest. I wish I were there. I wish we could all be there. So we're going to take a look at this canvas, this team transformation canvas, and it's about this idea that team building starts with you, that team building is really about each one of us individually. I'm Richard Kasperowski. Hi, you heard a little bit about me. Here's some of the things I teach, both in university and in industry. I do a lot of work in industry. And you've got all my contact information here because I want you to be able to keep in touch with me. If you have any questions that don't get answered by the end of this 45 minutes, feel free to connect. So we're going to look at three things. First, this is about team building really does start with you. We'll go through the team transformation canvas, and we'll talk about what your next steps might be. Got a couple of interactions through Menti. So you could aim your web browser at menti.com and type in that code, 12380271. Or maybe you have a web browser that looks a lot like a mobile phone, and you could aim the camera of that web browser at the QR code. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go get my mobile phone and do this right now. Oh, there we go. When you get there, tap one of those icons and let me know you're there. Awesome. So, I've got two questions for you. Well, the big question is, how great is your team? How good is your team right now? You get to decide which team you're talking about. How good is it? I'm from America. I'm from Boston. I like words like awesome. From where I live, this is a scale from not so awesome to wicked awesome. Wicked awesome is all the way awesome, the most awesome, 100%, maybe more than 100% awesome. So the team you're on right now, how good is it? And how good do you want it to be? I'll pause for a moment to give you a chance to answer by taking a sip of coffee from my official Craft Conference cup. So this is cool. From the data that we have right now, it looks like the average awesomeness of all of the people who have teams here, it's about average awesomeness. And how awesome do we want our teams to be? We want them to be all the way awesome, all the way up to 10 or 11 on a scale from 1 to 10. So that's what this is about. You're in the right place. If your team is not as awesome as you want to be, as you want it to be, that's what we're here for right now. We'll take a look at a quick look at the science and research on teams and high performance teams. This is not what the talk is about. This is just to set some context. So this is going to go really fast. Once upon a time, there was a company called Google. They cared about having awesome teams. So they looked at the 6 decades of research on teams and team performance, and they reproduced it within their company. They got teams to participate voluntarily to reproduce this research. And what they found when they reproduced the research, that out of all of the hundreds of possible things that you could test to find out what makes the best teams the best, they found that psychological safety was the one thing that mattered the most. That when they measured psychological safety on teams and they measured team performance, the strongest correlation was between psychological safety and performance out of the hundreds of things they tested. Psychological safety is this idea that we feel safe when we're together as a group of people. that we can show up as who we are. We can take risks. You can admit you don't know something. You can ask for help. You can try something new. It's okay to make mistakes. And that on teams where this is the truth, those teams outperform others. So that's really cool. And this is not just IT teams. This research started in healthcare. Here's an example from my dentist here in Boston, where I live. I told her what I do for work, and she shared her dentist journal with me, and it was about safety. This cuts across all industries, and it cuts across all cultures and nations as far as the research shows. I shared this story about Google and psychological safety. Way back then, it was new to me, with Steve Wolf. Steve is a researcher and now consultant who also lives around Boston. He had done a lot of research with his partner, Vanessa Druskett, on teams and team performance. And Steve taught me more. He shared that psychological safety is one part. It's a subset of a bigger thing called team emotional intelligence. I'm going to use some abbreviations. Team EI for emotional intelligence, psych safety for psychological safety. Team EI includes psychological safety. It's something that gets measured in Team EI. It also includes the ability to understand how we're feeling individually and together, how we operate as our team, how the bigger organization around us operates, and how to make things happen, how to influence things to happen amongst the people and the processes in our larger organization. And it turns out that psychological safety is a subset of this. Teams that can figure out all of these things, teams that have behaviors that get them there, they outperform other teams. So this is all really cool. However, it's just research, and they don't tell you exactly what to do. So there's this other body of knowledge called the core protocols that tells you what to do. This is one set of ideas, one set of behaviors that you could adopt in your team to get more psychological safety, to get more team EI, emotional intelligence, and to get better performance. This is the work of Jim McCarthy and Michelle McCarthy. They discovered by watching teams at work, what are some of the behaviors that the most successful teams share with each other. And they wrote down those behaviors in a way that the rest of us could learn them and copy them and do them together. Steve Wolf, the Team EI researcher, and I discovered that every one of these behaviors maps to something that gets measured in team emotional intelligence, including psych safety, and that these are behaviors that we can engage in to raise those skills and get better performance from our teams, with our teams. Here's another look at that. If you want a high performance team, and you probably do, that's maybe why you're here listening to me right now, you definitely want psychological safety. The science is really solid. And that's a subset of team emotional intelligence. And this science is also really solid. And to be able to get into that state of high team EI and high psych safety, you have to have some behaviors that get you there. And the core protocols are one way to do that, one set of behaviors that you can adopt with your team to get there. So ever since I discovered all of this, this is not my research, this is not my work. What I do is I take the research and I help people apply it to their daily lives and to the teams they work with every day. Some people teach these skills as like a 5-day class. That's a long time. Even I teach this as a 1-day class. We did it as part of the Craft conference this year. That's still a long time. And what it means is that it makes it impossible for many people to learn, to get any experience with these skills. So sometimes we do this as like a 1-hour talk at a conference. And I've been thinking more and more how to help people know more about this as fast as possible. And that's where this canvas came from. The idea of this canvas is you can do this yourself on your own or with a friend or with teammates. And it helps you reflect on a lot of the behaviors that the core protocols embody. That by doing this canvas, it will launch you toward having more self-awareness and more connection with each other as teammates and toward having a better team. We're going to spend the rest of this half hour, 45 minutes looking at the canvas and doing it together. So here we go. Here's the canvas. All you need to do this with me is a piece of paper and a pen. This is all you need. You can do this with you can just write down what we're doing on a piece of paper with your pen. You can do this in your text editor. You're probably using a computer right now. Maybe you have a text editor. It's better with a piece of paper. If you want a copy of the canvas right now, you could visit teamtransformationcanvas.com. It forwards to a page on my website. There's a Miro template. There's a PDF you could print. And again, you can just take a blank piece of paper and do this along with me. No special tools required. Here's the whole canvas. There's a lot of stuff here. It's not numbered. You could do it in any order you want. There is an order that I usually do it in, and I'm going to take you through it with me in that order. So I like to start in the top left corner. This is the positive bias section. And the idea here is that on high-performing teams, even high-performing individuals, I don't know, happy people maybe is another way to say that, we start with some bias toward positivity. We want good things to happen. This is also kind of like a user agreement for this canvas. It might even be a user agreement for working on a really good team. I don't know, it might be a user agreement for having a good life. If you're using the canvas, read these 2 sentences and check the boxes. This is sort of like, I agree with this part of the license agreement. If you're not using the canvas, maybe write these sentences down. I will use positive language. I will bias my actions toward positive outcomes. If you can do this, check off these boxes and you can continue along with me. If you can't do this, maybe reflect on what's in your way and what you could do differently to be able to bias your language and behaviors toward positive outcomes. Next, we'll take a look at the top center. So this is the freedom and autonomy box. What we notice when we look at really great work teams is that the people on the teams are free. They get to decide who they work with, what they're doing, how they're doing it. On this canvas, this is also part of the, I don't know, the user agreement for this canvas, maybe the user agreement for being on a great team, maybe the user agreement for having a good life. Read these 2 statements, and if you're using the canvas, check the boxes. If you're not using the canvas, just write down these sentences. Decide whether they're true for you. Can you opt out of any activity at any time for any reason? Can you exit any situation at any time for any reason? This is really asking, can you decide what to do with yourself? Or are other people controlling you? Are other people coercing you? If you can check off these 2 boxes, if you can say yes to these 2 statements, then we can continue. If you can't say yes, reflect on why and consider what you could do differently for these to be true. Next, left side, middle, the box labeled emotional state. How are you feeling right now? If you have the canvas, you can fill in the blank. If you're doing it on a piece of paper, just write that sentence. I feel blank, and write down any words, all the words that describe how you feel right now. How do you feel? Like, I don't know, within your head, within your heart, what's going on within your body right now? How do you feel? I can't see anybody. You can all see me. You could close your eyes and introspect right now. Nobody would know that your eyes are closed. It's totally safe. Oh, that's the other part about being able to opt in and opt out. It gives you safety. If something isn't happening, if something is happening that you don't like, you get to leave. You have more safety if you can opt out of situations. Back to emotional state. Line number 2, now we're making it multiple choice. Pick the one word that most closely matches how you feel right now. Okay, it could be more than one. Which one or more than one of those 4 words, glad, sad, mad, and afraid, most closely matches how you're feeling right now? And then number 3 here, is there any more information that you want to add on? What other words could you use to describe how you're feeling? Could you explain to yourself why you're feeling that way? Is there anything else about your emotional state? Write it down. And by the way, I'm doing this in English. You can do this in whatever language is best for you. I don't know of any research that says that there's a high correlation between English and high performance teams. I don't think there is. You can do this in any language you want. For bonus points, after the conference, get a friend and share with them how you feel and ask them how they feel. It turns out that if we watch the best teams, they share with each other how they're feeling. I know that might sound a little weird, but it's true. It's in the research journals. Teams that have high emotional intelligence outperform other teams. Maybe it's groups of people that share how they're feeling with each other. They just feel like better groups of people. And well, when we put it in a work context, they do better work than other groups. And how are you feeling? Let's collect some data from the whole group. How are you feeling right now? Back to Menti in your web browser. What's going on? You probably know by now, this is the last day of the conference. There's a 20 seconds delay, 30 seconds delay between when I snap my finger and you hear it. So I'll pause for a moment to let you answer. So we got a wide variety of emotions in our group. I usually believe it the most when we have at least one of everything. So I'm going to wait a moment and see what happens. Not that I want to bias you toward being angry about anything. But there we go. Okay, there's a wide variety of emotions in our group. We've got a lot of sad, a lot of glad, a little bit of sad, a little bit of afraid. This is one way, you're just doing an anonymous poll like this. This is one way to know more about the emotional state of your team. You could do this with your team, as well as just sharing with each other out loud how you feel. Or maybe using the canvas and showing your canvas to each other. That could be another way to do it. We're going to move on to the center box. It's called personal alignment. This is about building more self-awareness. Really awesome people, really awesome members of great teams, high-performing teams. They have a lot of self-awareness. They know who they are. They know what they want. Well, we started with self-awareness. They know how they feel. But now let's look at line 1 here. I want blank. What is the biggest, most important thing in the world to you that you don't already have? What's your biggest goal in life that you haven't already achieved? What is the most important thing you want that you don't have? And think really, really big. This is bigger than I want another cup of coffee. That's not such a big deal. You can just go get another cup of coffee or get dinner, or whatever you want right now. Think really big. Like, I want COVID solved. I want everybody healthy. I want world peace. What is it for you? What's the biggest, most important thing in the world for you? Write it down right now. Fill in that blank. Write down that sentence. I want and then write it down what it is that you want. And box number 2 is another question for yourself. If you answered the first one honestly, then it's something you don't already have, or it's something that you don't have all of it. You want more of it. So this biggest, most important thing in the world to you, why don't you have it? Why don't you have all of it? You know, if it's really that important to you, you could be doing it right now or moving toward it right now, spending your energy on that instead of listening to me. What's in your way? What's blocking you? What's preventing you from doing that thing, getting that most important thing for yourself, moving toward it? Pause for a moment, think, and write down some notes to yourself. What is in your way? What are your impediments? What is blocking you from your big, important goals? Now, number 3 is multiple choice. It's I want blank, and it's one of those 10 words to the right. Imagine that one of those 10 words to the right could be your future superpower. That you could be fun man, or peace woman, or whatever it is, wisdom person. That you could have all of that superpower that exists in the entire universe. And if you had that superpower, it would destroy everything that's blocking you. And it would help you get everything that you want, all those most important things for you. Which one of those 10 words would it be? Self-awareness, integrity, courage, passion, peace, presence, self-care, fun, wisdom, health. You get to define what the word means for you. And if you're not sure which one to pick, the default answer is self-awareness. So you could be self-awareness superperson, or any of the other 9. Which one of them is it for you? And if you had all of that power, if you could practice that skill until it became your superpower, you became like a 9th degree black belt in courage or whatever it is, it would eliminate everything that's in your way and you would get everything you want. Which word is it? So which one is it for you? What is your future superpower? And with this superpower, you will get everything you want. It will move everything out of your way. You get to define the word for yourself. You get to decide how to build the skill. It's all up to you. It looks like a little bit of everything in our group. A lot of people want courage. Well, a lot of people want health, fun. Hope you're having a little bit of fun with me right now. Self-awareness, wisdom, presence, passion. These are all worthy pursuits. Now, number 4 here, 2 blanks to fill in. When I blank, I want my friends and colleagues to blank. How could you signal to your friends or coworkers that you're practicing your future superpower? You know, this might be when I tell you I'm practicing courage. I want my friends and colleagues to say, we support you. Or when I do this with my hand. You don't have to make the silly face. When I do this, will you also do this? It could be like our secret handshake to each other to show you that I'm practicing passion and that you support me as I do it. What could it be for you? If you had some secret handshake or signal or word to say, and they would let you know that they support you, what would it be? You could even ask them to do this for you. Finally, number 5, how could you practice this alignment, this future superpower, your personal alignment? We call it personal alignment because maybe you could align all of your thinking, align all of your energy, align all of your actions toward the pursuit of that future superpower. What could you do to practice it? If it were wisdom, how could you practice wisdom every day, or health, or fun, or courage? One idea here is you could keep a journal, and in your journal, every day you could write down an example of when you practiced your future superpower that day. So you can try that. That might be your default answer. One time for me, in your future, the superpower you're working on might change over time. One time for me it was courage, and it's because I'm kind of shy. So I practiced by meeting a new person every day. This was before COVID, when it was safe to do so. And in my journal, I would write down my new friend's name. Every day, I had a new friend that I made, or a new person that I became acquainted with. And I would write down their name. It was proof that I was practicing courage. We'll move on now. So that future superpower, that alignment, let's think about it more individually. What does that word mean to you? What is integrity for you, or presence, or self-care? What is your definition of your future superpower? How could a friend or a coworker notice that you're practicing it? What would it look like if you were practicing it? Is there anything else about that personal alignment? Is there anything else about that future superpower that would be interesting to add on? What would you like to have happen as you build that superpower, as you build that new skill? Pause and reflect, and fill in the box or write that down on your piece of paper. And this is an introduction to the canvas, right? So you can do this without me later on, and I encourage you to do this without me later on. I'm going to move on. Oh, another good idea. This is the team transformation canvas. So try doing this with someone else and ask them about their personal alignment. Ask them about their future superpower. Oh, maybe they could ask you about your personal alignment, your future superpower. And by doing so, maybe you'll figure out that you have a good way to practice it, or you could help them find a good way to practice it, or you might end up supporting each other on these pursuits that you have individually. They might become a shared pursuit. It could be sort of like a shared vision for a team. You might end up as a better group of people, as a stronger team. Try it out, see what happens. Next, we'll go to the bottom right. This is called perfecting my alignment. Give yourself feedback. And by the way, this is a good way to give and receive feedback on anything. For now, just start with yourself. You picked a personal alignment. You've thought about a way to practice it, to build that skill. Everything you've thought about so far, everything you've written down, your plan for achieving that future superpower, how credible is it? How good is it? Give yourself a score from 1 to 10. If it's the best possible plan that could ever exist, give it a 10. If it could be better, give it a lower number. And then think about what's good about it. What's good about that future superpower and the way you could practice it? What's good about your personal alignment? Did you define it well? Will it really eliminate all of your blockers? Do you have a good way to practice it? Do you have a signal and a response for people to show that they support you? What else is good about it? And finally, what else could you do to make it even better? to make it the best it could possibly be. How could you adjust that practice to make it so that you definitely will grow that superpower within yourself and accomplish all of your most important goals, achieve everything you want? This is the intro. I will let you do more of this on your own. Finally, bottom left. This is really hard work. You probably won't be able to do this alone. You're going to need the help of people who you care about, people who care about you. It might just be a friend, it might be a family member, a partner, it might be a coworker. I'm calling this the team transformation canvas. This is supposedly about work. Maybe it's a coworker, somebody on your team. Who could you ask for help? And how would you ask for help? Now, it turns out asking for help is in itself a superpower. We notice on normal teams, people don't ask for help that much. But on super teams, people ask each other for help a lot. They don't get stuck on things. How could you ask for help? Write down some ideas for yourself. And go back to this whole canvas later on and fill in anything that you didn't get a chance to completely fill in during this short introduction to it. So that's our intro to the canvas. And now here are some ideas for what you might do next. Now, first, a question for you. From this intro to the canvas, what was the most important thing you heard? Or what was the most interesting thing you learned? Let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. Now I'm pausing because there's a 20 to 30 seconds delay. The funny thing about that broadcast delay is, should I talk about it or should I not talk about it? Should I make believe that this is all just happening in real time? I don't know. All right, so we got some nice takeaways here. Seems like a lot of people think this canvas could help them be a better them. And that it could help your team, and that, well, it turns out there is actually science and research on high performance teams, and we could go back to that anytime we want to know more about how to have a better team of our own. Oh, this canvas might help you do that even faster than going and reviewing all the decades of research. Here's a alternate look at key takeaways. If you want a high performing team, and you get to decide what that means for yourself, you definitely want psychological safety, and you definitely want team emotional intelligence. And you probably also want a particular set of skills that you could practice together to get there. So you might try the core protocols. And you might get started by using this canvas. This canvas can help you get started with core protocols. It doesn't look like it, but I just introduced the core protocols to you just through this canvas. So you've already gotten started, and you can dive deeper, you can learn more. Here's how you can get more of this. Well, you've already started this. You could do this canvas by yourself. I encourage you to finish up whatever you didn't get done already. Oh, you could even write your name on it and sign it, sort of like it's a contract with yourself. That would be really good. Even better, you could do it with friends, or you could do it with teammates. Do it together. Show each other your canvases. That box in the top right, ask each other about your canvases. That box on the left-hand side, share how you're feeling with each other. That box in the middle, share with each other what is the most important thing in your life. Ask them about their most important thing. Learn as much as you can about each other as fast as you can. This canvas can facilitate that. And that gets you moving more and more toward having a great team. That sort of connection. You can find the canvas at teamtransformationcanvas.com. We've got it as a PDF. We've got it as a Miro board. You could just use a blank piece of paper. However you want to do this, it'll work. To learn more, you could check out my books. You could ask me for help anytime. You have my contact information. And you can visit this website, thecoreprotocols.org, to learn more about all of these behaviors. This stuff is totally free. You don't even need me to do this. I do run a lot of training classes, both in public and in private. I'd love to have you join me at any one of these, and a lot of these are more talks at conferences as well. So here's some things that are coming up. My summer course at Harvard is like full stack agile software development. All the stuff, the business skills, the people skills, the technology skills, building great code together, building great products together. I've got more canvases, like the product inception canvas. You can join me at the big Agile conference later this summer for an introduction to that. I'd love to see you again. Oh, I love help. Will you help me? I love getting feedback on things. So will you help me make this presentation as good as it could possibly be? One way to do that is to give me feedback right now in Menti. I'll pause for a moment so you can do that. And it's just those 3 questions that we've already seen. Give it a score from 1 to 10. Tell me what you liked about it, and tell me what else we could do differently next time to make it a perfect 10. To be a perfect 10, maybe there would be some music during these interaction breaks, or fireworks, or pizza delivery to every attendee. I don't know. So people are beginning to offer that help. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I read every one of them. And again, I'm Richard Kasperowski. Here's some things I do. Here are more ways to contact me. I invite you to keep in touch with me. I think we're going to have time right now for some questions and answers. And even after that, if you want to get in touch with me, here's how. That's it. Thank you all for joining me.
Thanks, Richard, for the presentation. It was great, and I'm very pleased that you figured out how to do the interactions, even with the delay included. Your pauses were very calming, actually. So I thought it was really good, just taking this breather. So it was great. We do have a couple of questions for you.
All right.
First one comes from Anonymous. How frequently do you recommend filling the canvas out?
Oh, not frequently. Well, at least once in your life. So more than 0 per lifetime. And that's up to you. I actually don't have a recommendation on this. I notice that my personal alignment changes periodically, maybe every half year or year. Sometimes it's courage, sometimes it's something else. Maybe every few months. And you don't need the canvas to introspect about how you feel right now. What's your emotional state right now? Maybe you could do that every day. Maybe, the other parts of the canvas, that personal alignment, you could practice your personal alignment every day. Maybe you could ask somebody for help on something every day. That's actually my personal alignment right now. The way I practice it is by asking somebody for help on something every day. It's such an advanced skill. It's so difficult to ask people for help. So the canvas itself, I don't know, maybe once a year, every few months. The practices that it introduces, probably every day.
All right. Thank you. Next question. How are you feeling?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking. Let's see. I don't have the canvas in front of me. I'm imagining the boxes. I feel glad. I'll add on more information. I'm glad that we get to do this today. I'm glad there's a bunch of people doing this with us live. I think it's being recorded. I think people will be able to experience this later on as well. So this is all good stuff. I have this beautiful coffee cup filled with a delicious beverage. I'm having a good day. I usually go through the list of those 4 emotion words too. Am I sad about anything? Yeah, I am. I'm sad about the current state of my relationship with my 16-year-old stepdaughter. It's probably not just her, it's probably just being a 16-year-old. We don't have the best relationship right now. I wish it were better. I'm sad about that. Glad, sad, mad. Am I mad about anything? Am I angry about anything? Not at the moment. And am I afraid about anything right now? No, not at the moment. That's how I'm feeling right now.
All right. Thank you for mapping all that out for us. And next question comes from Diana. What would be the best time to introduce this to the team? Like you have a new team, when do you do this exercise?
The best time to do this with a team is the moment you care about that team. So maybe that's right now. and really, do this with your team, or do something like this with your team. You don't even have to use the canvas, but it could guide you on some things to do. For some people, a canvas makes it easier. That you can just write down how you feel and show it to somebody. You don't even have to say it out loud. For other people, it could just be you start sharing how you're feeling, or you start sharing what's important to yourselves, or you ask somebody on the team for help, or you ask for feedback on something and you use that outline, give it a score from 1 to 10, say what you liked, say what else it would take to make it the best. You could borrow these ideas, and it doesn't have to be a big deal to introduce these behaviors into your team.
All right, thank you very much. I think we have time for one more quick question.
All right.
From Tomasz. What can you do if the freedom and autonomy conditions are not fulfilled? Yeah. What is the best way to address that in a team?
Yeah, that's so important. I went through those boxes first because those are the foundations of everything else. If you don't have freedom and autonomy, then you probably don't have a chance at having high psychological safety. In the text, I used the English phrase opt out, which I understand can be difficult to translate to other languages. By opt out, what I mean is it's okay to decide not to be there, to choose to do something else, to elect not to do that activity. That's what opt out is. You have the option not to do it. If you don't have the option, then what? Well, according to all the science and research, then you're probably not going to have a really great team. In the class we did as part of the conference, we were talking about normal teams versus better than normal teams. On normal teams, we usually don't have the ability to say no or to opt out. We don't have freedom and autonomy. That's on a normal team. Now that we know a little bit more about the research and science on this, it's a choice. If you want to have a normal team, then keep doing it that way. If you want to have a team that's better than normal, then change the way you do things so that you can choose what you're doing, how you're doing it, who's doing it. Add those behaviors into your team if you want to have a team that's better than normal.
Thank you so much, Richard. These are
You're welcome.
tough questions.